Welcome everyone to episode 2 of More Book Reviews. As always, I am Zach Moore, and this video brought to you by Scary Close by Donald Miller. This is book number 2 of 2020, and it's actually a book that I read within, I believe, 48 hours or so. It was one of the quicker reads that I've had. It's about 220, 230 pages. And I honestly just spent the night, about 3 or 4 hours, last 3 or 4 hours, just digging into it. It's a book that, for the last few years, I believe it came out in 2016, it has been one of the most recommended books by a lot of my friends, a lot of pastors I know, saying, read this, read this, read this, it'll change your life. I finally got around to getting it and digging into it. I started it yesterday, I believe, and yeah, I usually have started to bring a pen with me to start to underline things that stood out to me, and this is a book that I don't think I've underlined a book this much, and I truly mean that. There's so many just nuggets in there to get that can help you with so many different things, and the subtitle on this one is Dropping the Act and Finding True Intimacy. Now, it's not talking about marriage specifically. Now, he does talk about his marriage and what he's learned for this one. One of the quotes that I want to talk about is, it's right in the beginning. He says, somebody once told me we will never feel loved until we drop the act, until we're willing to show our true selves to the people around us. So what Donald Miller really kind of dives into is how, for him specifically, and he states for a lot of us, we have our true selves, and then we have ourselves that we portray to the world. And he really just gets kind of straight to the jugular and says, the majority of us are not truly being our 100% authentic selves. We put an act. He does talk about his sense of humor and how he uses it as a defense mechanism, and that's something for me. I pride myself on my sense of humor. I love being funny. I've always been the funny kid, funny guy growing up, and as a kid and as an adult, I'm known to be funny. And I hide behind that, and I think, my wife knows me better than anyone, and she knows if I'm just simply saying a joke because something hurt me, or if I truly don't want to deal with the reality of what's going on. So Donald Miller kind of just goes straight to it with that, and he says that we were meant to live our most authentic selves. And one of his other quotes that I want to bring out quick is, he says, I began to wonder what life would be like if I dropped the act and began to trust that being myself would be enough to get the love that I needed. Now, again, not going to give you spoilers or anything like that of the things that he kind of goes into, but the heart of the book is truly this, that we were designed to have an authentic self. This authentic self that Donald Miller believes, as well as myself, is that God designed us to be authentic, to live in community, and to drop the act, to stop worrying about the Instagram likes, stop worrying about what my boss thinks of me, stop worrying about what a potential girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever might think of me, and start truly living the way that you've been designed to live. And he goes into it, and he talks about work, he talks about friendships, he talks about relationships, he talks about family, marriage, parents, and he talks about all of these things. And he talks about how when we are not our true authentic self, it is not just damaging to the people around us, but it's damaging to us. And he really just basically tears down the lie that our authentic self is not lovable. And so that was just the biggest, if you're looking like sort of a generic theme throughout it, it's really just him preaching the word that your authentic self is not only lovable, but it is valued. And it's not just valued by our communities and the people that love us, but it's valued by God. And that God did design us in a way to be valued not as an actor, not as someone we pretend to be, but truly as people, of who we genuinely are, and our actual personalities, our called to be loved, and our personalities are good. And while we may stray from the path of goodness at times, and we do commit, bad things, and bad things do happen, he really just says, but at the core of it, God has created us. And he says, he just talks about Jesus and how Jesus, it was someone who spoke truth in love, and he knew truly who he was. He says that, he speaks about how, Jesus was never afraid of his community. His community knew who he was. And more important than that, Jesus knew who God called him to be. And so his identity was strictly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what, so-and-so's, brother-in-law's, boss's, uncles say. It's what God says. And so that is kind of the gist of what the book is, kind of goes into. Pros and cons. Pros, if you bring a pen, you're gonna underline a lot of it. There is so many good, encouraging little tidbits in there. And I think this might be his 5th or 6th book. Forgive me, Donald Miller, if you see this and I'm wrong about that, but I believe 5th or 6th book. And yeah, he kills it. It's so good. He's an amazing writer, and he keeps you enthralled with his storytelling. And I'm not disappointed by all my friends over the years to tell me to read it, because it definitely was. I would call it a life changer for book-wise. It's one that I will definitely go back to and look and see what I underlined, and maybe even a reread in the future. So I highly recommend it. So definitely go check it out. I would say cons. I want to actually have some cons for you guys. So I don't want to just be like, it was perfect. That's tough. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought about it before recording this, but I truly cannot think of any cons. I think maybe if you're uncomfortable with people being bluntly honest about themselves, because his whole thing, he kind of goes into is being vulnerable, and so he talks about that a lot and talks about some vulnerable things that happen in his life. And so if vulnerability makes you uncomfortable, then yeah, I guess that'd be a con. I love it myself, so I definitely thought it was really good. So yeah, I haven't done I'm not doing a rating system on this, but honestly probably like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, I don't know, maybe it'd be a 10 if you autographed it. You know what I'm saying? So all that to be said, I highly recommend it. Go get it right now. Christian or not, I truly think that this book change your life. So go check it out. Again, my name is Zach Moore, and this is More Book Reviews. Thanks for watching this, and as always, if you haven't subscribed to it, and then check out my Instagram at More Book Reviews, and we'll get connected. Thanks, guys. Until next time.